So Wonderfest, one thing that it's known for is that a lot of different individuals get what are called one-day licenses, which they're allowed to buy Takara to create official third-party stuff that they could sell for one day during the show. People need to understand that in Japan, they have very strict laws when it comes to selling product. Like, you cannot even customize a Transformer toy, paint it up nicely, and sell it without getting in trouble. Japan is very strict with that. A guy actually got in the news about this where he was taking a bunch of Figma anime figures and customizing them and selling them in Akihabara, and like they dropped the hammer on him like legally and stuff.
Oof.
So like Wonderfest is one of these opportunities where people could make a bid to Takara and go, hey, I'm working on this garage kit of this specific character. Would it be cool if I sell it at the show? And they give them a one-day license. It's not really an official product. It's more just we're selling this product at this show, and it has Hasbro/Takara's blessing. So I've gotten a bunch of these in the past. I've gotten their Minerva. I've gotten, they did a doll series during Energon, so I got like Misha. They did a doll of her. Little things here and there throughout the years. These are all usually garage kits, so they're extremely expensive, and yet you still have to mold, paint, glue, and build these things.
Yeah, you still have to do it yourself, basically.
I'm someone that has built Gundam model kits for years, but the garage kit thing is kind of outside of my skill set.
Yeah.
So when I got my Minerva, I right away threw it at one of our Wendell knows who it is, Lou.
One of our local guys.
One of our local garage kit experts, and he put it together for me. And these have like water transfers for the eyes. Like I have another one too. I have a Metal Hawk one that was like, and it's spectacular looking. It has the Pretender armor and the smaller robot and everything. And even that one's even more crazy. And I've yet to give that to him and go, yeah, go to town. You know, like they're pretty crazy. So what do we have this time around? So kind of perfectly timed with the release of the Black Arachnia at Wonderfest, we have a Beast Wars Stasis pod. And the crazy thing about it is it's sized to pretty much fit the Masterpiece Optimus Primal inside. So you could reenact, Other Voices Part 2 pretty much, that final episode of Season 1 where he's in the Stasis pod going towards the Planet Buster. And, I mean, it says here that it comes also with a Protoform Air Razor. And the photos that I've seen online of the Protoform Air Razor, because it's funny because there's different photos online because different people have gotten this garage kit and stuff, and it's pretty rough, the Air Razor Protoform, how it looks. So like, which is sad because we have actually a pretty decent like image of what that Protoform looked like when it was stabilized and it didn't have like the Energon all over it. There was like in the episode The Spark with Rhinox and everything. So we kind of had a good idea of what it looked like, and it's sad that the Protoform garage kit here is kind of rough looking, doesn't really look like how it looked in the show. But the Stasis pod itself is spectacular looking.
Yeah.
It's cool that it shows that it could also be used to like store like weapons and accessories. And I mean, it just looks great. It just looks really good. And luckily, because the Stasis pod was such a primary gray and gunmetal kind of design anyways, even if you get this garage kit and you don't paint it, you're pretty good to begin with. You know what I mean?
You're relatively close.
Yeah, you're pretty much there. I mean, again, it's the garage kit resin, so it's already that matte gray to begin with. But I mean, it looks great. And the fact that it holds like, it could hold the Masterpiece Primal, I mean, that looks really cool. So you can
at least that gives you a good scale, of how big it actually is.
Well,
so that's pretty good, I find.
Especially at that scale, that means you could probably fit, your original Tigatron in there. You could probably fit your original Black Arachnia in there. Because the Primal is I would say Voyager scale in the Beast Wars era. We'll call it the Mega scale back then. Yeah. So like any deluxes would easily fit in there. So any of those characters, with the exception of maybe, you could probably even squeeze in Inferno in there. But any of those, pod crawling out of characters, with the exception of, let's say, Rampage, because his pod was Protoform X.
Oh, and his arms were sticking out of the pod too, like the legs.
Well, he had a massive pod. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
His pod was a huge pod and had a big X on it. So, but either way, like, this is pretty cool. But again, that price point, 25,000 yen, which is pretty much almost $300 American for something you have to paint and build yourself. But keep in mind what happens with a lot of these, and not that I, am promoting this or something, but a lot of these garage kits, they come out, they get out there, and then they get what's called recasted, which is in a lot of ways they get bootlegged. And so then they start kicking around like crazy. Usually the bootlegs aren't as good quality, or they're not cast in the same colors. I know that many years ago when they had the old RC Wonderfest kit, which is just like in a very specific pose, it got bootlegged like crazy. And again, it fell even into the hands of Lou that we just mentioned before, who worked on my Minerva. He even managed to get one, and he got it for like $50 as opposed to the $300 it was originally.
Yeah.
So it's something that if you are interested in this, if you're very serious of like diving into it, look around first, talk to very specific people, look on Yahoo Japan auctions. Don't just drop the money right away, because there will be probably opportunities down the line to pick up stuff like this. I mean, it's only a semi-official kind of release. It's not really something that's, an official product. And again, as Beast Wars gets hotter and hotter, one day I get a feeling third party's just going to drop it on us and give us something really cool. So just a word of advice when it comes to that.